We need to talk about the glazed eye problem, I think. I think you know the one I'm talking about.
No, yeah.
You've spent weeks, maybe months, architecting this perfect, robust framework. You've got the policies, you've got the lineage tools, you have all the stewardship models mapped out. And then you walk into a stakeholder meeting, maybe it's with marketing, maybe sales, and you drop the phrase data governance.
And you just watch the life drain from their faces.
You watch the life leave the room. It's the universal struggle of the profession.
It is. It really is. You're basically bringing them vegetables when they ordered dessert.
Yeah.
I mean, to the average business user, governance just sounds like
Bureaucracy.
bureaucracy or the Department of No.
Right. And it's not even hostility usually. It's worse. It's just apathy. That polite nod where you know they are like mentally making a grocery list.
And that apathy is so dangerous because you can have the best technical controls in the world, but if the humans, the people in the loop, don't care, or if they see your rules as just obstacles to get around.
Then your whole framework is just a paper tiger.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We are not looking at technical schemas today. We're not, debating the merits of different cataloging software.
No.
We are looking at a communication hack. We're analyzing something called the Data Governance Analogy Toolkit, and specifically a concept that claims it can sensitize even the most stubborn business units.
It's a fascinating pivot, really. The source material argues that we're losing the battle not because our data is bad, but because our stories are boring.
Our stories are boring.
Yeah, we're trying to explain these complex, abstract risks to people who just want to get their campaigns out the door.
So the centerpiece of this toolkit is something they call the house party analogy. And I have to admit, when I first saw this in the notes, I was a little skeptical. A house party?
Right.
It sounds a little juvenile maybe for a corporate boardroom. I mean, can you really look a VP in the eye and talk about red Solo cups?
You would be surprised. In fact, the source material suggests that its simplicity is exactly why it works. It sort of bypasses the technical brain.
The part that shuts down when it hears metadata.
Exactly, the part that shuts down, and it hits the emotional brain. It taps into a shared experience that almost everyone, understands.
Okay, I'm willing to be convinced. We're going to unpack why this analogy works, how to deploy it without sounding unprofessional, and maybe how to use it to turn your biggest detractors into your biggest allies.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the setup. The source material asks us to visualize H house party. Set the scene for us.
Okay, picture this. You're 16 years old. Your parents have just left for the weekend. Maybe they left a $20 bill on the counter for pizza.
And the last thing they said was, be good.
And naturally, being good is open to interpretation.
Of course.
So you pick up the phone, you call a few friends, they call a few friends, and suddenly your living room is packed. The music is loud, people are dancing, the energy is just high. Now, from the perspective of the teenager, or let's say the business user, what's the defining characteristic of this moment?
Freedom. Absolute, unadulterated freedom.
Right, but more specifically, it's the absence of friction. In a teenager's mind, the absence of parents means the absence of limits. There's no one there saying, turn that down, or
use a coaster,
or you can't go in that room.
Okay, so let's map that to the corporate world, because I think this is where the analogy gets really sticky. If the parents are, say, the IT department or the compliance team, what does the party look like?
It looks like agility, and this is the part we often miss when we criticize shadow IT. To the business user, that party phase feels amazing.
It's efficient.
It feels like downloading a massive CSV of customer data to your personal laptop so you can pivot a table way faster than the secure server allows.
Or sharing a login credential on Slack, because setting up a new user account takes, 3 days? And a ticket from the help desk.
Precisely. In that moment, nobody feels like a villain. They feel like heroes. They're getting things done. They are hacking the system to be more productive.
Right.
The source material really emphasizes this. The no rules phase feels like a feature, not a bug.
That is a really important distinction, because if you walk in and just scream, compliance is mandatory, you are the buzzkill. You're ruining their efficiency. You're the parent coming home early.
Exactly.
Right.
The analogy helps us acknowledge that, yes, the party is fun. It validates their desire for speed. It says, look, I get why you want to work this way. It's faster. It's easier.
And there's always a but in these teen movies. The timeline advances. The party doesn't stay in that, golden hour forever.
No. The source is very, very specific about the trajectory of this night. It says, it ends with broken glass and confusion.
Broken glass and confusion. That is such a visceral image. It's not just risk, it's an actual mess.
It implies damage that's hard to undo. And the confusion part is what really stuck out to me in the text. We always focus on the broken glass,
The catastrophic failures.
the catastrophic failures, but the confusion is arguably more common in business.
Let's dig into that. What does confusion look like as a consequence of the party?
Well, imagine at the party, everyone decides they are the DJ.
Oh, no.
Everyone is changing the song every 30 seconds. Or everyone is moving the furniture around to where they think it should go.
Chaos.
Absolute chaos. In a business context, this is what happens when you have zero governance. Marketing pulls a report saying revenue is up 10%.
Okay.
Sales pulls a report from somewhere else saying revenue is down 5%. They're both using data they just found at the party, unregulated, unverified data dumps.
And they walk into a board meeting, and instead of making a strategic decision, they spend the first hour just arguing about whose numbers are real.
That is the confusion. That's the hangover. And suddenly, that fun environment where everyone could do whatever they wanted, it doesn't feel so fun anymore. It feels paralyzed.
And then, of course, there is the broken glass. This is the sharp stuff. This is the stuff that actually hurts.
This is the data breach. This is the laptop left at the coffee shop with the unencrypted file.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the privacy lawsuit because someone decided to use customer emails for a purpose they never consented to.
And the source material makes a really interesting point here about the delay. It says, uncontrolled data access feels fun until the damage hits.
That is the critical line, until the damage hits. It's a delayed consequence. The party is great for 3 hours. The cleanup lasts for days.
Or, in the case of a major compliance fine, it can last for years.
Exactly.
So when we use this analogy with our stakeholders, we aren't just trying to scare them with hackers. We're showing them that a messy house is unlivable.
Right.
We are connecting their agility directly to the mess that stops them from working later.
Right. You're asking them, do you want to go fast for an hour or do you want to be able to live in this house next week?
Okay, so we've established the problem. The no-rules party is seductive, but ultimately destructive. Now, usually, this is the part of the meeting where the data governance person slams a binder on the table and says, okay, the party is over, everyone go home.
And that is exactly why people hate data governance. Because if the answer to broken glass is no more parties, the business is going to rebel.
Right.
They have to do business. They have to dance to keep the metaphor going.
You can't just board up the windows and lock the doors. We still need to generate revenue.
Exactly. So the source material offers a different solution. It offers a role that saves the house without canceling the party.
Enter the chaperone.
Governance is the chaperone.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. I hear chaperone, and I kind of cringe. I think of the person standing in the corner of the gym, watching you with suspicious eyes.
Making sure you leave room for the Holy Spirit.
Exactly. It's a loaded term. Nobody wants a chaperone.
Yeah.
If I tell my sales VP, I'm your chaperone, isn't he going to tell me to get out of his office? It feels patronizing.
It can be, for sure, if you frame it wrong, but look closer at how the toolkit defines the role. It explicitly contrasts the chaperone with the police.
Okay.
The police show up when the neighbors call with a noise complaint. They turn on the bright lights, they issue citations, and they clear the room.
That's the audit approach. That's you messed up and now you're in trouble.
Right. We don't want to be the police. We want the party, the business, to keep going. The chaperone is different. The chaperone is there during the party. They aren't standing in the middle of the dance floor stopping the music.
So what are they doing?
They're checking IDs at the door so you don't let in people who don't belong. That's authentication.
Okay, that's useful.
They are quietly locking the master bedroom door so that nobody wanders in and, steals the jewelry. That's access control and protecting PII.
So you can stay in the living room and wreck the snack table, but you can't touch the family heirlooms.
Exactly. And if someone drops a glass, the chaperone is there to spot it and get it swept up immediately before someone steps on it and bleeds all over the carpet.
That's data quality and issue resolution.
Yes.
I see. So it's about sustainable fun.
Precisely. It's the difference between a party that ends at 10 p.m. because the cops came and a party that goes all night because nobody got hurt and the neighbors didn't call.
Right.
When you frame it that way, I'm here to make sure you don't get shut down. The whole dynamic shifts.
You're shifting the narrative from governance versus the business to governance protecting the business.
And you're giving them a safety net. Most employees, believe it or not, don't actually want to be responsible for a data breach. They don't want to be the one who broke the vase.
No, it's anxiety-inducing to have access to things you shouldn't have.
It really is. So when you introduce the chaperone, you're basically saying, I'm taking on the worry so you can focus on the work. You're saying, I'll watch the door, you just dance.
That is a much, much better pitch than fill out this form because I said so.
It creates a partnership. The chaperone and the partygoers have the same goal: a great night.
So we have the theory. House party, broken glass, chaperone. But how do we actually, pull this off in a meeting? Because I can see myself trying this and just getting blank stares if I don't execute it right.
Well, the source material is adamant about this. Use it on the job. But you have to read the room. You don't just lecture them on the metaphor. You use it to ask questions.
Okay, give me an example. I'm a marketing director. I'm annoyed that you're adding a new approval step for my data access. How do you use the house party on me?
I'd start by validating your need for speed. I'd say, look, I know you want to move fast. It's like a house party. You want the music loud and the doors open.
And I'd say, exactly. I need to get this campaign out yesterday.
Then I'd pivot. I'd ask, okay, but if we have 0 rules, what does the broken glass look like in this campaign? If anyone could edit this customer list, what happens?
I mean, I'd probably have to admit that we'd end up emailing the wrong people. Or maybe sending a discount code to VIPs who shouldn't get it.
Boom. You just identified the broken glass. You, the marketing director, just made the case for governance. And then I'd say, I'm not here to stop the campaign. I'm just here to be the chaperone who makes sure that list is clean so you don't have to apologize to customers later.
That's good. You make me identify the risk so the solution feels like my idea, or at least a service to me.
It creates a shared language. Instead of saying, you violated policy 4.2, you can just say, hey, we're getting a little close to the broken glass here. It's less confrontational. It's shorthand.
It humanizes the whole process. And I think that visual element is key, too. If you're at a whiteboard, actually drawing a house and some jagged glass shards is going to stick in their memory way longer than a bulleted list of ISO standards.
Absolutely. We're visual creatures. We are narrative creatures. The data governance analogy toolkit is basically trying to turn us from technical experts into storytellers.
Which is a skill set that a lot of data professionals, and I'd include myself in this, we often neglect it. We focus so much on the data part that we forget the governance part is entirely about people.
It is 100% a people problem. If you can't persuade people, your architecture doesn't matter.
Now, this house party analogy is just one tool in the toolkit. The source material hints that there's more where this came from. And frankly, if you, our listener, want to actually get good at this, you probably need to see more examples.
Yes. It's a soft skill, which means it takes practice and imitation. The source explicitly points to a few places where you can hear this in action. They have a repository at www.dgspecialist.com/podcast.
And for those who are more visual, maybe you want to see someone actually drawing these concepts out so you can copy it on your own whiteboard. They have a YouTube channel as well.
That's at DG Specialist on YouTube. The source material emphasizes that you can just listen at any time.
And I think that's important. Treat it like a library of scripts. Before you go into a tough meeting with finance or HR, go listen to how they explain it. Steal their analogy.
That's what they're there for. I mean, there's no copyright on good communication. If it helps you sensitize the business, then use it.
So let's recap the journey we went on today. We started with the problem. Data governance is boring, it's scary, it's restrictive.
A glazed eye effect.
We introduced the house party as the reality of what the business wants. They want the fun, the speed, that lack of supervision.
And we validated that. We admitted that the no-rules phase feels like freedom.
But then we dropped the beat. We looked at the inevitable aftermath, broken glass and confusion, the breach, the bad data, the conflicting reports.
The realization that uncontrolled fun leads to a very, very expensive cleanup.
And finally, we rebranded ourselves. We aren't the police shutting the party down.
We are the chaperone keeping it safe.
The chaperone who ensures the party can go all night long. It's a simple shift, but it really changes the entire emotional dynamic of the conversation.
It does. But before we wrap up, I have a thought on this. If we accept this analogy that governance is the chaperone and the house is the data environment, it raises a really interesting, slightly provocative question for you to take back to your office.
Lay it on us.
If governance is the chaperone and the employees are the partygoers, who in your organization is the party crasher?
Ooh, that is good. Because every great house party movie has a party crasher.
Exactly. The person who wasn't invited. The person who jumps the back fence. In your data environment, who is that? Is it an external hacker? Is it a competitor? Or is it a well-meaning employee from another department who just found a way in and doesn't know the rules?
The person who's drinking the punch but doesn't know it's spiked.
Right. If you don't have a chaperone, you don't just have messy guests, you have intruders. And have you invited the chaperone early enough to stop them before they break the glass?
That is the question. The chaperone can't do much if you only call them after the police have already arrived.
Exactly. The chaperone needs to be on the invite list from the very beginning.
Something to chew on while you check out those resources at dgsspecialist.com. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the data governance house party.
It's been a blast. Keep the music playing, but watch out for the glass.
We'll see you next time.